Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the LetsDefend platform. Today we are tackling the latest event to be released for August 15th, 2025, 8:31 a.m. It is critical. It is SOC343 WinRAR 0-day Path Traversal Vulnerability, CVE 2025-8088. Event ID is 321. Type is malware. So we have on the Stewart system a detection that was allowed, extraction of an archive, placing files in the startup folder and a temporary directory, indicating exploitation of CVE 2025-8088. And so we got a msedge.dll inside the temp directory for LetsDefend. So if we take a look, they do give us a VM. Let me see about getting that stood up here. I mean, technically, I already have it going. I just need to bring it to the forefront. Okay, so some of this is just getting ahead of everything else. So if we take a look inside of the download directory, inside there's a Eli Rosenfeld CV PDF, and then there's a Eli Rosenfeld CVE to copy 10.rar. And I believe this vulnerability affects everything that is not 7.12 of this vulnerability. No, 7.13, which covers the CVE 2025-8088 and CVE 2025-6218. And then also, if you're like me, a 7-zip user, you should also sit there and update. And this has already been exposed or utilized in the wild. So if I remember correctly, this is a vulnerability with how it's alternative data streams. So what we see is a RAR file, and this is what? This was 711? 711, so this should be vulnerable. All we see is that, yeah, it's a PDF. And I'm pretty sure if we open this up like any other PDF, it would just perfectly fine. It's going to do its normal PDF stuff. Poor Rosenfeld. Smart Layer Labs, Senior Web3 Developer. That's almost like what I expect to be getting, something that would be a North Korean, but hey. But nothing that's going to be there. But if we open up the RAR file and we extract it out, it's like, yeah, go ahead and replace it. Sure, we get the same exact thing. We just replace a copy of it, but we get a bunch of diagnostic messages. Because while it's extracting out of here, it's utilizing a flow with how it handles alternative data streams to sit there and dump a bunch of stuff elsewhere. So if we copy that to clipboard and dump it inside of Notepad++, we get the same aspect. Oh yeah, it's trying to extract this stuff out. It's not until we get lower down that now it's starting to do same particular aspects, but now it's trying to drop msedge.dll, and it's trying to do it with, if you've worked through any sort of like local or remote file inclusions, where you're trying to backwalk with the .. in a web directory in order to see about trying to go out of where the web server's at and then maybe display etc shadow. In this case, we're trying to work this far enough out that we can get msedge into the user account's AppData local temp directory. And then we get a repeat of the same type of thing, except now it's the user profile, AppData, roaming, Microsoft Windows Start Menu Program Startup. It puts an updater.link in there so that every time you log into that account, it's going to sit there and kick it off. So great, we got all that. We can confirm that the stuff is indeed fully malicious. Not really nutritious. So let's take a look and see what does the... So this creates this updater.link. We'll do a reg key, so add HKey current user software classes CLSID in proc server 32 into the temp directory msedge. So if we go temp directory, so for this particular case, since we're logged in as LetsDefend, so C users, LetsDefend, AppData local temp, and we have an msedge.dll right there. So if we take sed do we have the msedge.dll in VirusTotal? And I suppose while we're at it, %temp / msedge.dll. Oh, I guess it'd help if I actually did temp properly. And then if we go back to downloads and 7-zip, and we just want to calculate the hash. VT is not happy. Okay, so that picks back up. So the RAR file is being detected by various engines, roughly about half of them that are in existence. And then the msedge file pulled out has got an even higher amount of detections. Looks like they're all stamped with Romcom, which I believe is one of the actors that have been actively exploiting this particular vuln. Which I think they're Russian, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so we've got some bad stuff that kicks off through here. So let's see, when was this created? This was created 8:15 at 8:31 p.m. So yes, this was all extracted and this was all kicked off. So not great. Just gonna copy the materials off. Copy the portion there. Okay, Yeah, I realize, yeah, you can't see. I'm basically just grabbing everything that's I can grab right now and just going to 7-zip up all of this to an archive. All right, and we're just going to do WinRAR 0 day. And it's like, yes, it's like, oh my God, we can't see what you're doing. Yes, I know, it's just basically grabbing and copying the stuff off of the RDP connection, so I've got a copy of the materials locally. Okay, so we've got all this stuff then. We've been able to confirm that yes, through sandboxing, in this case on the already infected machine, we can confirm that yes, msedge.dll is in the temp directory. We have a updater.lnk in the startup folder for the start menu. And the RAR file itself is well detected along with the msedge. I don't suppose we can actually just generate a SHA-256 of the updater. Yeah, apparently not, but that's fine. These are all older detections, so they've probably gone up, but so we've poked at this. I would say we have more than enough to take ownership and then confirm. So if we go back up to the host, we're going to quarantine. Okay, what if we didn't have access to the host for this particular aspect? Well, we can see that for browser history, underneath endpoint security, they pulled down the Eli Rosen CV2 copy 10.rar. And terminal history would be what? When that came down, that was 8:30, and then 8:36 and 25 seconds, 8:36 and 26 seconds, we see the registration of like what was pointed out for the updater.lnk. That's going to add a registry key for HKey current user software classes CLSID, this, in proc server 32, and then basically pointing to the msedge.dll, another indication that this has actually fired. And then it's the same thing for the one that's a second later. Nothing immediately network-wise stands out. Okay, what if we just had process data then? So we can see Chrome. We can see open with. So we can confirm that WinRAR was utilized to open the downloaded Eli Rosenfeld CV2 copy 10.rar. So we know that it's been downloaded. WinRAR's opened it from the process side. Got some bits. Chrome. We can see Chrome opening up the PDF, so it's obviously been extracted, and the payload would have detonated, and we've got this particular portion here. And then we can see the registry keys being added. Near the end of all this. So we've got, okay, so it looks like it might have been restarted because we're seeing the preloading of KeyPass and other items that we would expect to see on reboot. So would we not actually have any sort of process data that would point us to the dropping of msedge? I don't think so. You'd think that we got that close to it. That it might have potentially dumped out. No, then we're not going to get anything from there. So we are apparently missing some sort of process info for the msedge.dll to be dumped in temp, even though we can just take a look at so I'm going to go back to the VM. Did we get sysmon during that time? Yeah. Yeah, we do. All right, let me bring that back up and transition that in. So we've got sysmon logs on the local host. We're looking for file created. So this looks like WinRAR must have been in, yeah, so they must have installed that before kicking the thing off. And then we're looking at around 8:36, I believe, for the real fun to kick off. Okay. Here we go. So according to the local system, 8/15/2025 at 8:31:28 p.m. EventID 11, so file creation. We can see Eli Rosenfeld CV.pdf in downloads, and then we can see that WinRAR is the image, dumped out the msedge.dll into the temp directory for LetsDefend user, and then again we managed to get into the startup folder for the updater.link. And then it's some particular the process creation, open with, and we should see another one of Google opening up the PDF. And where is the... That's VNC, so that's the normal operation for this. There's the preload for KeyPass, Sentinel-1 agent, and then here we go at 8:36:25 p.m. We get a process create, so CMD, and then doing the reg add, and then everything that's been determined through there. And then this is what? At 26 seconds, same exact thing again. The registry value is being set. Yeah, nothing good. Nothing good at all. So shell loader, yeah, so did we quarantine this already? I think we did. Yeah, we did. Okay, let's get the RDP window out of the way. And let's do this. Still working on my coffee from this morning. Okay, connect to the machine. We've done that. Is the file malicious? Yes. What does the malware do? I don't know. What does the malware do? So let's go take a look at the write-ups. Let's see. So ESET. Ultimate goal was to deploy a backdoor. So is backdoor, at least according to the stuff, a definitely not a coin miner. Guess we're gonna say other. So it was supposedly job fueled. So do we have any emails? Well, these are all deleted stuff. August 15th. Ah. To const heat comshurl at sesnam.cz. To Stewart, experienced web dev. Okay, so I did not see this in the email. My name is Eli Rosenfeld. And there's your copy. Please look at my resume. I beg of you. Yeah, it's gonna be fishing. Oh no. Oh no. Crap. Have we seen it on more than one? Well, I mean, we get this particular thing pulled down. So Sysmon at least got the file creation and that all this other stuff was going on. So great. So we wouldn't have to necessarily stand up. So here's a question. Can I dump SHA-256 hash into the cert? Apparently I can. But come on. Okay, we get a raw log for that. Great. But then we go backwards in time to 2023. And then no raw logs for the 25th. Yeah, apparently we don't get actual raw logs for that. So we'll go back. This was only sent to Stewart. We will remove it. And I don't see any sort of signs because there wasn't anything that's recorded in the logs for that it reached out. And if we take a look, relations for this DLL. So it looks like it might try to reach out to 150.171.22.17, maybe? And of course, it's a Microsoft one, so it could mean just about anything. It looks like only that one. Was it? It was not. Has it been executed? Yes. Crap. I'm just going to say user. If someone requested C2, yet to the best of our ability for the logs, there isn't anything that goes back and forth. And even if we look at I mean, I suppose I could grab all of these particular ones and start digging through to see as to whether or not if any of these have anything malicious. It's just odd that we just don't get anything like that here. Okay, well, let's use the ESET article that was linked off of the, what was it, HelpNet? Yeah, HelpNet Security. So they give us the examples that they've observed. Our Eli Rosenfeld's C2 or CV2 is there. as FF or F77, which doesn't seem to be the copy that we got. But then there are only 4 CNC IPs that are noted. 85, 162. That should be centered around this. So let's do this. I'm going to copy this off to the side. And we're going to go back to, because there's nothing there for the network logs, but let's take a look at the endpoint. So is there anything that starts with 85 that have been recorded? No. What's the next one? 162. No. Next one in series is 185. No. Last one in series is 194. None. All right, so let's just double check this just to make sure, because they threw in the question in regards to, well, did anybody access it? So let's just see if we can find anything for any of these. Okay, there we go. Just had to reload the page. Apparently it's been a little bit too long since I pulled the data up. So we got nothing there. We dumped the other one from the reports, 162. We get nothing. How about 185? Nothing to show. 194. Not a thing. But if we go back to Stewart, go back in the logs, drop this down. Okay, all we get is August 15th then. We don't see anything else that's going out. So for this, I'm going to say not accessed. We've already contained eradication. I mean, it's effectively just removing the items from there, but realistically, the machine should just be nuked and paved. We don't want to take any chances on missing anything. It was phishing. IFCs on more than one machine? No. It was not quarantined because it was allowed. Was it executed? Yeah, we determined that. User execution. Did someone request C2? Not access that we could find. Contained. Eradication. Lessons learned. Okay. How did it happen? Phishing email to Stewart from an odd domain with a RAR file attached that was specifically crafted to exploit CVE 2025-8088. Stewart extracted the PDF that was contained, utilizing a vulnerable version of WinRAR, which dumped the msedge.dll into the temp directory, and then also created the updater.lnk in the startup folder. How did they manage to deal with it? Well, considering the fact we're first level and we're dealing with it, I'd say we're doing a pretty damn good job. Staff management do differently next time. Realistically, not use WinRAR unless it's going to be paid for, and made sure that everything's just up to date. 7-zip or whatever your compression tool of choice is going to be. Corrective actions for similar. Not allow RARs through the email gateway and just restrict what you're allowed to use. Maybe turn on scanning of the materials as they're sent through. So maybe RARs and zips can all just go into a admin quarantine to wait for someone to go through and check. Precursors or indicators should be watched for in the future events. Or realistically, alerting for any old versions of WinRAR in the environment would be a first step. Who gets RAR files via email. Realistically, writing out. I mean, the registry keys would be probably something to sit there and take a look at for expected or unexpected changes across the environment. Then we get the artifacts. Okay, so we're going to have what then? We gotta go to the deleted emails because we need to harvest. So we've got the Fisher. That's the email sender. I guess the other aspect would be the sending domain would be something we could block. Send email domain. I mean, realistically, I guess we can just take the we'll copy the link, but we will backwalk it to remove the other items in front of it. So that is link to RAR. So we have a URL address. Then we're going to have what? We're going to have the MD5 of the RAR file. We're going to have the MD5 of the msedge.dll. So go to, this one's the RAR file. We'll grab the MD5 there. And then we'll go to the DLL. Grab the MD5 there. There. Stewart received a phishing email that linked to a malicious RAR file. Exploits CVE 2025-8088 on WinRAR versions pre 7.13, right? Yeah. This one's executed on the host with WinRAR version 7.11. Startup folder for the start menu. And temp directory msedge.dll. There. Confirm the playbook. Let's see if we missed something. I mean, I'm really hoping not, but close the alert, true positive. We'll dump the same thing that we had in there in regards to everything kicking off. And it's going to run through, and let's see what we get. Well, apparently we screwed up on something. Malware type. Trojan, because it's malicious intent and deceptive behavior. Well, I was thinking more of just the DLL, but that does make sense if you not go that far into deep into the woods in regards to it. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna fault that. And they don't give anything else in regards to that particular aspect. So there we go. Just remember, Trojan horse, if you go through and work this yourself, try not to focus only on a particular tree for the forest. Because that's all it was. I was trying to figure out what does msedge.dll in the temp directory actually do, as opposed to looking at everything. Which, yeah, okay. So there we go. That has been the SOC343 WinRAR 0-Day Path Traversal Vulnerability, CVE 2025-8088. EventID 321 type malware for August 15th, 2025, 8:31 a.m. And as a gentle reminder, if you use WinRAR or WinZip or 7-Zip, highly suggest you go make sure that you got the latest versions. And with all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video.